So, Bob, I know everyone wants to know exactly how they should be preparing, reacting at this moment. We don't know a lot just yet.
The saying goes, it's an old saying, prepare for the worst, but hope for the best.
Right.
Obviously, the best could be for the storm to make its break to the north and eventually to the northeast. The worst would be for it to ride up the eastern Gulf of Mexico, hitting everyone along the course. So a lot can happen at this point. The best advice is to just check to make sure that your hurricane plan is set and ready to go. On top of that, check your hurricane supply kit. If you don't have the correct items, go buy them, go purchase them now. Don't wait for the long lines before any kind of watch or warning is put into effect. And if watches and warnings were to go into effect, the timing of the watches and warnings, basically, this is based on the current movement and projection of the storm, would be watches would go in effect for us more than likely late Thursday or possibly early Friday, and then the warnings going into effect on early Saturday. So this is a scenario now, and it looks like it could happen. Irma is a major Category 4 hurricane right now and could even get a little stronger before it makes landfall sometime late tomorrow night into the islands there, the northern Leeward Islands. Florida is going to have some sort of impact from this system, it looks like now. At least some sort of impact, meaning some rainfall and high surf. That'll also be a big concern. On top of that, we could get the direct impact. But the timing for the Suncoast still appears to be late Sunday into early Monday, and it looks as though, as far as the motion and movement goes, it doesn't appear that it's going to hold stationary and just kind of stick around for a while. It looks like it is going to eventually make a break to the north after day 5. Now, you see all these forecast lines. These are lines of where the center is expected to be, and you can see everything's kind of shifting left lately. We're getting more models out here in the Gulf of Mexico, and there's still a chance it could go and push further out into the Gulf. I saw that with, again, a couple of storms over the years, and on top of that, it could stay a little bit further to the east. There's a big spread in the models after day 5, so it's not guaranteed that Florida is going to get a direct hit, but it's more and more likely now that someplace in Florida will possibly get a direct hit down the road. Now, the European forecast model, one of the best we've seen over the course of several years, continues to show this west, almost a little bit due north course, getting close to Cuba. And the closer it gets to Cuba, obviously they'll have a significant problem there, but there's a mountainous terrain there which could beat the storm up quite a bit before it makes that break to the north. Now, this is the worst case scenario for Miami here, just offshore the eye, and it looks at this point it would be a Category 4 hurricane moving off to the north and scraping right along the coast, meaning everyone would get in the act there along southeast Florida. We would also see tropical storm force winds and close to hurricane force winds in the interior counties. Even in that situation, you'll notice the time that was at 11 o'clock at night on Sunday when it would be parallel with our coast. This is a GFS U.S. model. It does fairly well, and this one has it going right into South Florida on Sunday morning and then moving up the spine of the state. That would weaken it considerably, but still we'd have tropical storm force winds here more than likely, and even hurricane force would not be out of the question with this situation. But the storm surge would not be a factor. If the storm gets in the Gulf, and then we have to start to be worried about stronger winds and the potential for storm surge. We showed you this graphic earlier. The cone of uncertainty now does include South Florida and portions of Sarasota County, as well as into Hardee and DeSoto counties. A well-defined system now, and the conditions are favorable for this to strengthen. It may weaken a little bit in the next advisory because of this replacement eye wall that's going through. But by the time it reaches the islands, the northern Leeward Islands, there's a chance it could get up to 150-mile-an-hour winds, and that's not too far away from a Category 5 storm, and it looks as though it would pass very close to Puerto Rico, the U.S. British Virgin Islands, and as well as the hurricane warning in effect for the northern Leeward Islands. That is the new warning now. This had been a watch into Puerto Rico, but that is now changing, and that's the radius of the winds. Now, this storm is going to get bigger in terms of its wind field, it looks like, over the upcoming days, and that's cause for concern. Even if the storm passes to the east of us, along the east coast, there's a chance we're going to see some of that wind. The trough of low pressure developing over the northern plains and in through the Great Lakes is going to be the deciding factor. How strong or weak that is will determine the future movement and motion to the north and to the northeast. But right now, it's just too uncertain to say that we're going to see direct impact from the storm here along the west coast. We will see tropical storm force winds, so I'm fairly certain of that if that storm passes into the center of the state and along the east coast. For boaters, southeast winds turn to the west at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be 1 to 2 feet. There'll be a light chop out there. And as far as the water temperature goes, it's warm in the Gulf, 89 degrees, so that would be plenty of fuel if the storm happens to slip into the Gulf of Mexico at this point, but that remains to be seen. Partly cloudy, isolated storm, 76 for a low. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, 30% chance for storm, a high near 90, and the extended forecast, showers and storms Not so much from Irma on Friday and Saturday, but Sunday and Monday will be a different story.